Hello. I am in Christmas pajamas because it is Christmas Eve. We just got home. Now I have to play Santa. And it's also marks 3 weeks from the day that one of my favorite people passed away. And I didn't go straight to this thought, but days after she passed, I thought to myself, my big fear, this theme that has been looping in my mind for a long time has actually come true. And one, I survived it. I went through it. And also, I guess I should just tell you what it is, huh? So a fear that I've had for as long as I can remember is if something really good was in my life, that it would be taken away. Whether I sabotage it, some outside circumstance takes it away, somehow it doesn't last. And through years of getting to the root of many things, this one in particular, I realized was this mindset I had, which really wasn't even related to me. Actually, a lot of my mindsets weren't even related to me. My grandparents on my father's side, my grandmother in particular, she came from a wealthy family that had an estate and ran the town in Poland, and then they had to flee their home during World War II, somehow survived the concentration camps, and even the camps in Germany after the war for years. And then they came to America, got sponsored by a family member, and slowly started to build up their new life. Obviously, that's a major thing that I condensed into 30 seconds. And I always loved hearing anything I could about that, even though my grandmother, it was too painful for her to talk about it. But when I would ask her as a kid to do reports, or even as an adult when we got older, so even though I was intrigued by this, and there's so much power and resiliency that I can take from that, and that I can know I have inside myself, I also, without even knowing it, started to think, oh my gosh, look at the life she had, and then look at this horrific thing that she had to go through, and then coming here and how hard it was here at first. And my mother, her mother passed away when she was 6 years old from breast cancer. And so it was my grandfather and his 2 daughters for their whole life. He remarried the same year my mom got married. And I think that subconsciously, well, I know, was playing in my head, like, even though my grandfather was an amazing man and they had a great childhood with him, they didn't have their mother, especially in the 60s when, like, men, like, he was the only dad in the Girl Scout troop, and he was the only dad for anything, right? Because women did everything. But so I looked at that and thought, oh my gosh, that got taken away from my mom. And so, and there were other things too in my own childhood where I saw with my parents, where there was a lot of abundance and things were really good, and then there wasn't. And I recently said something to my brother about that. I got all emotional. I was saying something about, not to go into it, but just like, do you remember when all these things started going away and this and that, and like these memories I had? And he was like, I don't remember any of that. And I'm like, we're 2 years apart. It's not like you were a baby and I was a teenager. So it just goes to show you that your kids may be living in the same house as each other, but interpreting different experiences. So just when I've unblocked and gotten to the root and got past this mindset of like, don't let anything get too good. Like, maybe choose the thing that's not amazing, because that's safe, and safe is good. You can't get hurt when it's safe, which is ridiculous because you can always get hurt. And it's painful to not go for whatever, like, the greatness is that you want, right? And so my best friend Tina was hospitalized on Friday. Friday was also the day that the first day I was in my house. I moved to a new house. I got in very late Thursday night, and Friday was the first day. And there were many times throughout the day, Friday, I did not know she was hospitalized at this point, where I wanted to send her a Marco Polo, or I wanted to take a picture of something and just show her, like, just the moving in process, because she was such a cheerleader for me in every major decision I ever made, even in small decisions. She was just my person, my go-to person for so many things. But then I didn't send her that message, or I got caught up with the kids because I let them sleep in and not go to their half day of school. And we went out to my favorite brunch place, which now is down the street from me. And my mom had spent the night before to help move some last minute things that the movers couldn't take. And I just, like, ordered everything that I loved there. And, you know, the kids, like, their favorite drink, they have this, like, sunrise drink that they love. And I just remember being like, you know, when you just eat food that just makes you feel so happy, you're just like, this is delicious. And not too many places have this, you know, this concoction. And my mom was like, this coffee, I've never tasted coffee so good. You know, like, I'm making it sound like we're all dancing on a cloud, but it was just a moment where I just thought, this is so good. You know, like, this is a major moment in my life. Buying this house by myself post-divorce with 2 little kids in a new area where I don't, you know, have any friends, but I'm excited about because I spend a lot of time here. And it was just like, it just felt like I was treating myself, I was treating everybody, you know, with me that day, in just like this, like, delicious food and just like a good environment, you know, just everything felt like aligned. And then 2 days later, I get a call from one of Tina's local friends, because she lives in Colorado and I'm in Michigan. And she tells me that Tina has passed away and that she was hospitalized on Friday. And I had said to her, you know, I just need to say this to you. I don't expect you to say anything. It needs to be received by someone else, right? Like, sometimes you just need someone to hear you versus, like, writing it in a journal or whatever. And I said there were so many times on Friday that I had thought of her and I wanted to message her just a quick little update, and I didn't. And I just wish I would have now. I just feel like regret for that, because I had those little, you know, kind of like intuitive hits to reach out to her, and I didn't. And at this time she was being hospitalized, and her friend had said to me, you know, I don't think she would have been able to communicate with you anyway. She had a stroke and she was on a lot of different medication. They had stopped chemotherapy because it was too intense for her body. And I don't want to get into the whole journey, but she didn't even have cancer, but they were putting her on this medication just to make sure that they got everything when they did her hysterectomy. And so it was, you know, in the moment, obviously I was surprised and I felt sad. And then days later, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, when she had a stroke, I was just basking in this beautiful change in my life and celebrating it with people who I love. And my best friend was being rushed to the hospital. And that I thought, oh my gosh, that's completely my fear. Something really good, someone goes away. Not even related. And that always was my fear. Oh, if I make X amount of money, then something's going to happen to someone in my family that's deathly. Okay. If I, these things that aren't even related, but this is what I kind of thought, like just stay kind of unseen, basically. And then everyone will be okay, which makes no sense, right? But through these small things that I saw as a kid, right? Like, oh, this person has a shit ton of money. Well, yeah, he also cheats on his wife. In my small kid brain, I started to think, oh, yeah, these people have this. This is great, but this is bad. This part is great, but look what happened, And I tried to protect myself in ways which are not protecting me at all. It's actually hurting me, hindering me. And because she died suddenly, it made me think that, well, obviously we're all going to die, but I couldn't control that happening. And that is not tied to me having a beautiful experience. And also to bask in the beautiful experiences, because there's going to be good and bad no matter what you do. Like, you have the choice on how you're going to act and the decisions you're going to make. But really, me having a joyous time with my daughters and my mom is not what caused my best friend to pass. So it's kind of like, if this shit's going to happen anyway, then why don't I just enjoy my life to the fullest? Because those other things are going to happen. And then I started to think about something else, which, okay, so I guess I should be grateful and probably proud that I didn't go straight to that thought. I didn't go straight to, I knew it. Something really good comes my way and one of the most important people in my life leaves. I didn't go straight to that, which says a lot, I think, about unblocking your mind and finding the root causes of the way you think and why you think that way. And also, I think there's a lot to be said about just how you evolve as a person, if you evolve, right? Just because you get older doesn't mean you evolve. There's this theme. It sounds really eerie, but it's true. I feel like three is a pattern, right? If you're in kindergarten, you learned that 3 is a pattern. So there's this theme that when I'm going through a major transition in my life, someone important leaves. A pivotal person to that transition. My grandmother, who I've spoken about many times before, who my oldest daughter is named after, she was my biggest ally in life and the person who, she was like just like a foundational person for me. And she was in hospice when I found out I was pregnant. And I remember getting the ultrasound, that like photo booth strip they give you, which looks like a sesame seed. And I drove, over an hour to go see her. And I remember I showed her that. And it was a beautiful moment. And a couple of days later, she passed away. And she was the only one that knew. I mean, aside from my husband, she was the only one that knew. I hadn't told anyone yet. No one in my family. I mean, like at the funeral, I told my parents and my sister. And I remember thinking, I was actually on my way to see her when my dad called me. I was in my driveway and he told me that she had passed away. And I remember thinking, this is the person who I want to show me how to nurture this baby. The way she grandparented me is how I wanted to parent my first child. And then she left. And that was 9 years ago. So I was in a different place then. I was a different person really then. And I just remember it just derailed me. I did what I now know is a way to protect myself. I shut down. I was still working, but I stopped writing, which was an income portal for me. It was also a major marketing funnel for me, and it was something I truly enjoyed. And I just stopped. I just kind of shut away publicly from the world, also from my friends. I just got very not reflective in a good way that you need sometimes, just mostly in like a shutdown and just kind of hole up kind of way. And I thought, why is she leaving now? Why is she leaving me? I need her during this part. I need her to, I want to come to her with my daughter when I have things. And I have beautiful women, strong women in my life, like my mom and my aunts, but she was the person who I felt like, I need you right now, And then she wasn't there. And then my other grandmother, she passed away 2 days before I moved into my apartment post-divorce. So my divorce was finalized. And I figured I'm gonna rent an apartment and just process what just happened, and then I'll figure out where I want to live and whatnot. And she was my step grandmother. Remember I told you my grandfather got married the same year as my mom. But I always looked at her as, I didn't look at her as a step grandmother. She was the only grandmother I knew on my mom's side, because as I told you, her mother had passed away when she was 6. That's who I'm named after. And she had gotten divorced, which that would have been in the 50s? In a big Italian family, that's not allowed. And she was supportive. She didn't dislike my husband. She was supportive of my marriage. But when I told her I was getting divorced, she was like, you got to take care of yourself, honey. And this is what, just basically really supporting me, being like, you got to do what you got to do. And you're so strong and blah, 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 which was great to hear from her, because my family was not initially like that of my decision. And that's hard. That's very hard. Because you just assume, right, the parents will just always have your back. And that wasn't my situation in the beginning. So to have this 94-and-a-half-year-old grandmother really being in my corner, that was really sweet. And then she passed away right before I moved. And so I moved, and then the next day drove with my family to Chicago to go to her funeral. And I thought, okay, this is someone who's supportive of this big transition that I'm doing, and she's not here. Again, I'm older now, but just to not have that person, to send you a text or whatnot. And then I move in here, and that same day my friend has a stroke, and 2 days later passes away. And Tina we had started our personal styling businesses at the same time. We actually met at our certification test to be an image consultant. There's people from all around the world in, where were we? Somewhere in Southern California. Anyway, and we were very much cheerleaders in our businesses, and we'd swap ideas and we'd do similar events because we weren't in the same town. And she's that kind of friend who we had the same mindset, but very different lives. Similar strengths, but also different in how we executed it. So it was like to have this friend that really sees you is one. amazing. And two, the one you could workshop things with and talk business but just talk about everything else too is quite unique, right? Because you have all these different kind of pockets of friends for different roles in your life. And she was like all of the roles in my life. So, and then when this home came about very quickly, she's just the person I would like call or message or whatever if I needed to talk. And then to not have that, that's sad at times. And so once again, I thought, well, why is she leaving? I'm having this major transition in where I'm living, also in my career. I've had a almost 15-year career doing the same business, and I'm pivoting out of that. And like now she's not here. And unlike when my grandmother died 9 years ago and it derailed me, this, I thought to myself, it was just a different feeling. I didn't force the feeling. It was just a different feeling that I was not controlling. It just that it kind of came over me that was like, felt kind of empowering. Because when someone passes, you can give any kind of meaning to that you want, right? You can say, oh, they're so proud of me. Oh, they're not proud of me. Oh, they would have hated this decision. Oh, they would be, it's like, you just kind of make it up, right? Or my point is it's up to your own interpretation. And I just felt like she believed in me too much for me to just get into a depression and feel like my friend is gone and I'm already so alone and had so much change this past, year and a half, but specifically 6 months. And I didn't feel that way. I just felt like it's fucking go time. Like I almost felt like, I was raised Catholic, so obviously like the guilt thing is just very familiar. But I almost, not guilt, I just felt like stronger. The strength that I had when I knew I could message her when I needed to, I still kind of felt, even though I couldn't message her when I wanted to. I felt like, basically, like she would send me cards all the time, just throughout the years, all the time. Just saying things like, you've got this, all the time. I'm wearing my lightning bolt necklace that she got me for my 40th birthday. And, also it's just a real, I was going to say a real treat, but it's very special to have somebody who can champion you like that. It shows how comfortable they are with themselves too, right? And, she would just say to me, like, you are lightning. And I'd be like, it's like that friend who can see you in times when you can't see yourself. She was the one who told me to start a podcast. And I remember thinking, years ago, what am I going to talk about? And here we are. So now I can just sit by myself and ask her, hey, what should I do about this? Hey, these couches don't fit in my living room. I got to offload some stuff. Which one should I do? Because she was also a wardrobe and prop stylist. So props and interiors was her thing. And so anyway, this was unscripted, obviously, but I just felt like because it's been exactly 3 weeks, I guess showing that when you do like this work on yourself and your fears do come up, maybe you'll be able to handle them differently than you did in the past. Not to say I'm not sad, not to say that it isn't like hard, but I'm handling it so much differently. And it's not a not feeling my feelings kind of thing, because I'm very familiar with that. This is not like that. So I'm not trying to get preachy, but it does make you think, Go do that thing you want to do. Give that person a hug. Tell that person you love them. Buy that gift if it reminds you of them and send it. It's just like, you don't know if you're going to have, how long you're going to have people in your life. And that was something that, as I told you about this pattern of passing, I thought, that's how far she's supposed to go with me. And, we're all here for many people, right? It's not like Tina's here just for me, or my grandmother's here just for me. But if you look at it, I guess you could say it selfishly, I'd say, well, my grandmother was only supposed to take me this far. And then, as Tina would say, like, you got this. I'm not going to physically be here anymore for you. So what I once looked at is like, why are you leaving me? Now I'm looking at it as like, thank you for all those times, for being in my life, for having the opportunity to be your friend, and for you to be mine. And this is as far as we go together. And, we were so close that now it's like, well, maybe now there's space for a new kind of friend to fill that role in a way. That even just feels like disrespectful, right? Because nobody can be replaced. Everybody is their own person. But just like that role, sort of. We used to have, I'm not kidding you, for 15 years, when the kids were babies, we kind of didn't do it as much, but I would say definitely like the first 5 years or so, we would have Tuesdays talk time with Tina and Lena. And, mind you, we've always been in different states our entire friendship. And it started as just like we would talk, and we would talk about our business and our clients and what we're doing and blah, 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 and bounce ideas off each other and help each other and all this. And, of course, before I had kids too, it would always be like 3 hours because we had the time and different time zones, and it just worked out that way. And never felt long. Everybody got a chance to talk. Another beautiful thing about our friendship, it was always fair. No one felt like the one person was talking to. She was a talker. I'm a talker, but she was definitely a talker. And there was space for that. There was space for her to talk for however long. Nobody was like, oh gosh, this person's hogging the convo or this person's not. And that is so hard to come by. It just is. You know this. And every Tuesday, it just became this like who the fuck talks that long? That frequently? Like, it's not like we're in high school, or middle school when you're just like, okay, I have the phone. I'm going to talk to my friends forever. We're adults and we have things to do. And that went on for years. And yeah, so the night before she had her stroke, I was, I'd moved. The movers had come, but I also had to clean my apartment because I am a former Girl Scout. You always leave a place cleaner than you found it. Also, I won my security deposit back. And I just didn't do a good job of packing ahead of time. The movers won't take things that aren't in boxes. So like at the end, I'm just like shoving stuff in garbage bags and tote bags and just like whatever, And I just remember like laughing, thinking about her, even though I thought she still was alive at that point. And, the kids are watching something on my laptop and we're all sitting on the kitchen floor in this empty apartment eating pizza. And I remember thinking the night before my wedding, my rehearsal dinner, she had flown in for the wedding and I was packing up my stuff to go to the hotel before the rehearsal dinner and I didn't have anything packed. And she was like, it was just kind of like a joke, right? She was like, how are you not packed? This is like, you're getting married tomorrow. Like, we're leaving for the rehearsal dinner. And I was like, and again, we're both stylists, so it's sort of funny. But I was like, what is there to pack? I'm wearing a wedding dress that's already in a bag. Like, what, the next day. Like, I'm not going on vacation. And she was just like very organized, very planner. And I'm just like, what? So she's like packing my stuff before the wedding. And I'm like, what? I'm not worried about this. But she just kind of joked like that was giving her anxiety. And then I'm like, okay, it's the night before, it's the night that I move. And here I am frantically throwing stuff in bags thinking, God, man, I really could have used her help here too. She had given me this wooden bird. It was just like a piece of decor. I think it was when I moved in with he was my fiance then? Yeah. She had given that as just like, a piece of decor. It was like a kind of like a rocking. It sounds really antiquated and gross, but it wasn't. It was like tan and black. Anyway, it was just like this rocking bird. It's a wooden rocking bird. And it was in our stairway going upstairs in our house when I was married. And then I packed it when I moved into my apartment post-divorce. And I remember I put the cookbooks on top of the fridge and I put the bird on top of the cookbooks. And then the night that we were finishing our packing to leave the apartment, Ani was like, what about this? And I was like, yeah, I don't know if the bird's gonna make it this time. Like, cause it was just, I don't know, I'd had it for like over a decade. I'm just like, I don't know if I need this bird anymore, And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna take that. And then I kind of went on to do other stuff. And on Sunday, I was still unpacking, right? Because I'd only been in my house for 2 days. And I saw wrapped in like a scarf in a tote bag was this wooden bird. And I just laughed and I thought, oh, Ani must have done this. Because I remember she said, when I said, I don't know if I'm going to take it. And she said, oh, but Tina got you this. You have to take it. You have to take it to the house. And I was just like, okay. Like, it's not going to hurt her feelings. And so Ani must have packed it. And I took it out of the bag. And I put the bird on top of the cookbooks, which is on top of the fridge. And I laughed and I was like, where's my phone? I'm going to take a picture and send it to Tina and say, the bird has landed. Like, we're here. I was looking for my phone and then my phone rang at that time. And I saw it was a number I did not know. And it was a Colorado number. And I was like, my brother and his family live in Colorado. And so I was like, first I thought, it's Sunday night. Who the fuck? Like, I'm not going to answer this. And then it's always that small voice, isn't it? And I just thought, I'm going to answer it. And it was Tina's friend Maureen. And she had delivered the news that she had passed away a couple hours ago. And I thought I had just looked at this bird, about to send her a message, and her friend calls me. And it's like, you got to have these moments and you got to recognize these moments because they're so beautiful and they're so for you, And so I needed to get these thoughts out and I needed them to be heard. Because she was such a spitfire and everyone who knew her misses her and is devastated. She did not have any children. She wanted to. She thought that was the path of her life, and it just turned out that was not. And there is a text chain of 18 of her closest friends all through her journey with chemo and her surgery. And so many of us have never met before. I mean, I've met a lot of her friends. So many of us have not met, but we know so much about each other. And in a way, she amassed this family of friends all across the country. And she's just a powerful person in that way. She was an amazing person, and I'm so grateful she was my friend. And I feel even stronger now, and I still feel her support, even though I don't have the support from her like I would in what you would normally think of as a friendship. So, thank you for listening.